I've done a lot of different therapy protocols with Joey, but one that had one of the most profound impacts was neurofeedback. And we did it with Superbrain Neurofeedback in the San Francisco Bay Area with my guest today, Carleigh Rochon. I'm excited to share a bit about Joey and my own journey with this relatively non-invasive therapy, as well as a very, very fun story about Carleigh and how, even though I haven't spoken with her in 6 years, she still holds the position of one of the most profound, key, pivotal players in my life. So today we will be talking about not only like benefits for our children's brain, how we can best support our children's brain, but also what us as parents need to do in order to co-regulate. Welcome, Carleigh. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. And we absolutely have spoken in the last 6 years, Betsy, but
We've spoken.
we haven't seen each other in person.
I know we haven't, but
and I miss you guys a lot.
I know.
My Mondays just have never been the same after, however many Mondays it was with you and Joey. And yeah,
it was great.
A lot.
And it was so monumental different I have just done, Carleigh, Joey's, okay, so now he's 32, but we're talking probably 8 years ago when we started with you.
Yeah.
And you get to this point where I've done it all. But it really, what I think the reason neurofeedback really spoke to me was his nervous system was constantly on this high alert, and I needed to do anything in my power to help kind of calm the brain, calm the nervous system, and help him regulate a little bit more. And a mutual friend of ours had put us together, and we had gone out, and I just remember from the very first session, like he just immediately stayed calm. And what kind of amazed me is how much he attended. He wasn't big on attending to any sort of a therapy session before, but he really sat with calmness. Is it 30 minutes typically your sessions?
And figure a good 45, because I had to hook him up and
and from the very beginning, he attended to that. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about like what is it and what is actually happening in the process of neurofeedback? And you know what? Before I have a burning question before we even go that direction. Okay. And my question is, I've heard the term neurofeedback for a long time. So I want to make sure that we're really specific. Like, are there lots of different good neurofeedbacks?
Yep.
And what's unique about yours? So let's start with that question.
I'm so glad you asked that.
I am here and I am ready for notes because I am.
Let's do a little neurofeedback 101.
Go.
So neurofeedback, and there's a lot of confusion because you will find a lot of brain training devices marketed to you. Basically, if you can buy it on Amazon, it's not neurofeedback. First of all.
Good point.
But let's talk about that. And within neurofeedback, there's 3 very clear divisions of neurofeedback. So to be neurofeedback, it involves real-time monitoring of the brain's electrical activity, creating a feedback loop. So there's always sensors involved. There are EEG sensors that are listening, monitoring the brain activity, creating some kind of feedback. And I'll talk about the 3 different types. And that feedback is coming back to the brain, allowing the brain to learn.
Right.
It's training, it's a learning. And like any learning, it is creating change in the brain. We are plastic. And with any learning, we're creating neuroplastic change in the brain. Okay. So the oldest type of neurofeedback that goes all the way back to the 50s, invented by NASA, is linear neurofeedback. That's your basic medical model of neurofeedback. And most studies, so if you're on PubMed and you're reading studies about neurofeedback and its efficacy, it's almost always a linear neurofeedback model. That's a push model. That's a model where they are trying to create change in the brain. And the practitioner, someone has determined that, maybe they'll do a QEEG reading, a brain mapping,
Right.
and they'll say, this is what's going on, and we're going to correct it this way. So there's a push. They're attempting to create a change. It's protocol based, and they're targeting specific frequencies with this linear traditional neurofeedback. Then there's lens, and lens is a low energy neurofeedback system.
Okay.
I've also, and that's its actual title. I've also heard it called low energy neural stimulation. And that's because lens has an input. They again, QEEG, looking at the brain, looking at what the brain's doing, calling out the, the bad frequency or whatever needs changing.
Unsettled. Yeah.
You're
Right.
interrupting that frequency with added frequency. So there is actually an electromagnetic input happening. It's low, it's tiny, it's lower than our actual brain waves, but it's making an interrupt. And so it's forced. So in the push feedback, that's that's a strong push, right?
Yeah.
Almost a shove.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you read studies, I'm thinking about, and because if you remember, Betsy, I went to school and I studied neurofeedback, and I started in linear. Like, this is where I started, was that
Right.
push model, where you're analyzing the brain and you're deciding what needs to change and you're making a protocol to create change. It's kind of geeky, right? Like, those of us who love the data and the analytics, like, it's a really interesting science. Then comes on the market, brand new 25 years ago. So the absolute newest baby neurofeedback on the market is the non-linear dynamic neurofeedback. And that's neuroptimal.
Okay.
And that's what Joey did with me.
Okay.
So the only reason it's newer is because the inventor was waiting for technology to catch up. He needed technology to be as fast as the central nervous system talks to itself.
Oh,
And
that's fascinating.
it wasn't
Yeah.
fast enough. 25 years ago, finally
Sure.
technology caught up, and he could create a feedback loop that was real time, the speed of the nervous system. We're talking 256 times per second. Can you imagine how fast that is? Our conscious thought isn't that fast at all. It's
Of course not. Yeah.
very slow.
Right.
So
Certainly not my thoughts.
same. Can't have enough coffee to get that fast.
Right.
Cue the coffee. So with the nonlinear dynamic neurofeedback, it's true real-time feedback loop, like holding a mirror to the brain. So instead of telling the brain what to do or what to change, it's holding a mirror up and telling the brain what it is doing and allowing the brain to self-correct. No push. It is not, it's totally agnostic. It's not saying, oh, that's a bad behavior, or, oh, that's a good behavior. There's no reinforcement of behaviors. There's no correction of behaviors. It is telling the brain what it is doing, allowing the brain to make a decision, to optimize, to be more efficient. And these are all survival skills of our brain. Our brain wants...
Is it modeling? Like, is it showing it the way to go?
No.
Or it's not
No.
even modeling. It's
No.
actually just
It's a
supporting
mirror.
their own. Just mirroring
It's a mirror.
it. Right.
And just like you walk in front of
That's
the mirror
interesting.
and you can't help it, but you stand up straighter.
Uh-huh.
You fix the things, right? You can't help it, because we
So
always
true.
want to optimize, always.
Okay, I have to interrupt you for a second,
go
because
ahead.
I was just speaking to somebody about my late husband John's whole take on holistic health and the body and the wellness and all of these other things, is that his big take was if you just give the body what it needs, it knows how to get better. It knows how to correct itself. You just have to give it the tools that it needs. So it's just like this.
It is.
It's
Yeah,
just saying, "Hey, this is what you're doing."
this is.
So
Mhm.
that's so
Yeah.
fascinating. I love this.
And so think of it, I'll give you a couple examples, and then don't let me forget to finish my
Oh
last
yeah.
note on the brain training
Yeah.
devices on the market. Um, a couple analogies I really love about the dynamic neurofeedback. And I'd like to mention too that while I started in linear neurofeedback, when I discovered neuroptimal, and I was about 3 weeks in to regular training with neuroptimal, I jumped ship hardcore. Like I changed camps. I went from being totally skeptical of how can this work if we're not here with intelligence
Right.
telling the brain what to fix. And boy, oh boy, have I changed schools. And now, like John, I truly believe that who are we to tell the brain what it should be doing? Who are we? How could I be smarter than your brain? I don't care how much school I go
I
to.
love this,
How
Carleigh.
how could I decide why your brain should or shouldn't be producing some signal, right? I believe that the brain has so much more intelligence and will always make decisions with the information it has in the moment to be most efficient and most optimal. And what happens is, especially with stress and especially with chronic stress, we get stuck in habituated patterns. We go on autopilot, and even that autopilot serves a purpose. It is conserving energy from decision making to put it somewhere else where it's needed, right?
Mhm.
Even that at some point in your history of health or your history of trauma or your history of survival, at some time your brain made the decision that that was important and needed,
Mhm.
right? So who am I to tell it to just stop doing that?
Well, and okay, and then to take a step from that again is now I don't know, have you listened to the telepathy tapes? Do you know about the whole
No, I
okay.
know,
Okay.
and Dr. Lindy and I had a lovely
Oh.
conversation about them recently. Yeah.
I introduced one of my doctor pediatrician. She actually Lindy was on the show. And the two of you are so connected now, so that's good. But here's the thing, like how we are just starting to understand the world of also from the scientific viewpoint calling it non-local communication. So we can call it telepathy, we can call it non-local communication, but if we're just beginning to explore non-local communication right now, consciousness,
Yeah.
all of these other areas, what if we did something to change the brain was without like what you're saying in
Yeah.
a forceful way
Yeah.
that knocked that out
That'd
because
be awful.
it would be
It'd be
horrible.
terrible. Yeah.
So I really like what you're saying is that it's mirroring it to let it learn how to correct itself. That is so
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
And it will, but it also will do it in a speed that is graceful for it.
Yes.
It's not a push, it's not shoving it, right? It's allowing it to gracefully layer by layer make changes. Um and therefore very low chance of any kind of side effect, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I say low chance because it's true that when a nervous system has been so dysregulated for so long, and maybe a nervous system that has never known what it feels like to be calm,
Right.
and all of a sudden calmness is happening, it can feel uncomfortable because it's new. It's
Yeah.
weird. What are these sensations I'm having? And you just don't even know how to process it in your body. And so sometimes it can be uncomfortable. And it's all part of a healing effect, right? And we have healing effects with all kinds of things that we do, where sometimes it's a little uncomfortable in that journey of getting
Yeah.
better. Um, so
But I would say this is one of those few things that we never saw anything negative that came
no,
from this
no.
other than,
Mm-mm.
nothing
And I
negative.
loved that while Joey wasn't able to tell me how he was feeling or tell me, that he enjoyed the session and wanted to do it again, he was so clearly a willing participant.
Yes.
Like he came so willingly and happily and like wanted
Got
to
in the
be there.
car, got out of the car, like
Yeah.
walked up the
Straight
stairs,
up.
like,
Yeah. He
yeah,
knew exactly
yeah,
what he wanted to do. And to me, what an unsolicited, beautiful testimonial of someone who's not paying for it. It's not, and there's no placebo effect,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
He just wanted to do it because he liked how it felt.
Oh, he did, and he still
Yeah.
does, and,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, we'll talk about
Joe.
Joey and myself with that as well too, but
Okay.
you did wanted to talk about the devices on the market. You wanted
Yeah.
me to remind you about that?
So I listed the three main neurofeedback modalities, and then pretty much everything else on the market is entrainment. Do you know
Mm.
what entrainment
I
is?
do, but
Okay.
talk about it, please.
So what happens is you get a lot of other devices, and they have really big marketing budgets, so you've probably heard of them, but like Muse and Brain Tap and binaural beats, anything that's got like light and sound, and sometimes frequency, like the sound beds, things like
Uh-huh.
that. That's entrainment. It isn't feedback. There's no feedback loop happening. They're not listening to the brain and creating feedback based on the brain activity. They're creating frequency that the brain starts to mimic. And so in the
Mm.
moment, it's helping you reach your desired state. Maybe it's focus, maybe it's calm meditation, and they're good about helping you in that moment mirror to their frequency that they're creating to feel a state change in the moment. But it's not creating long-term learning, right? Because the brain isn't actively participating in anything. It's simply being affected by these frequencies around it. So different. It's not neurofeedback. And the entrainment devices can
That
be great for creating a state in the moment, um, but they're not neurofeedback.
right. I thank you for clarifying that because that really makes a lot of sense to me. So in my experience with it, with Joey, so he was going once a week for it was over a year, I think, right? It
Yep.
was seems like it was.
Minus the week I
Or was
went
he going
away.
twice a week? How many what was that?
Minus the week I went to Bellingham.
Okay, so we got to tell the story.
You're
Now,
on a
now we
tangent
have to
there.
tell the story. Okay, so this is such a funny story. So
Because it had been about a year at that point.
we had been going about
So
a
it
year.
was a big deal that I was going to be absent
Yeah.
because Joey was so habituated to coming to see me on Monday.
Did we go once or twice a week? I can't
It was
remember.
it was once. Like,
Okay.
I think on occasion you had added an extra if you were going to be this side of the bridge.
Yeah, because it was a
But
bit of a
you drove
distance.
from San Francisco to see me.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
which is in Albany. You're still
Albany.
in Albany now,
Albany.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, um, so, so Ron and I we'd been together for 3 years, and we were like, I was just like, we got to buy a house, like
Mm.
because
Um,
we were new at the beginning. We were having the fun life living in San
mm,
Francisco in the cute
mm.
little apartment, and it was lovely. But I'm like, okay, now we got to be grown ups. We got to buy a house. So we just couldn't find anything in the Bay Area. And Ron was like fighting me tooth and nail with moving because he had sworn when he arrived in San Francisco, I don't know how many 40 years prior, that he would never leave. And I'm like, dude, that was a nice promise to yourself, but you do not own property, so we have to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so we were just starting to be open. We were looking at like Bend, Oregon, and maybe some other places as well. And you came in. I've told this story so many times. You came in one day and you were a little late because your flight was late. And you said, "I'm so sorry. I just got back from vacation. Our flight was late." And I go, "Oh, where'd you go?"
Mm.
You're like, "Bellingham." And we're like, "Never heard of it." And of course, you're hooking Joey up and you're telling us how incredible it was, and you stay with your friend who lived in Sudden Valley, and so Ron starts immediately pulling out his phone, getting on Zillow, looking at homes in Sudden Valley, Bellingham, and, um, 1 month later, we bought a house.
Right. You guys left literally I think you texted me 4 days later that you were driving up or you took the train or something. You went 4 days and you bought
I'm
a house.
such a Pisces. I'm such a Pisces.
Just from
Like,
looking at my photo album from my family vacation of me telling you how amazing it was.
we're like, "Okay, that sounds good."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's as good as any other place, and it was so funny, Carleigh, because we're, like, in the car with, like, packed to the gills with our moving truck coming up at a couple days later, and we're like, "Well, I sure hope we like it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And and we I cannot tell you, like, it's beyond where I live was the biggest utopia decision of a place that I could be perfect for both Ron and I imaginable. We love Bellingham so much. I really am a poster child for Bellingham because it's just the people, the
Mhm.
scenery, it's like the location,
Mhm.
it's like nothing else. So we always thank Carleigh every like almost every day. Like you're like the patron saint of homes. And I just got to tell you though, when we moved, you had said to us, there is a practitioner up
Yep.
there.
There's a practitioner in Bellingham. Yep.
I know. And so
And
so
I
she
emailed her. I contacted her just to tell her that you guys were
Carolyn.
coming up. Yeah.
Oh, Carolyn. Carolyn. So, Carolyn was our first friend.
Oh,
And she still she's like family to this day, and so we do not go as often as we used to. I mean, now we've, cut back only just because Joey's nervous system is so calmed
yeah.
and he's in such a great place
Yeah.
now, but that's kind of like the wonderful progression is that's the thing that's nice about it, like, you
Yeah.
don't have to
You
go
don't have
all
to
the
do it
time.
forever. It's
Yeah.
learning.
And then you
Yeah.
could just, like, even go once every couple of months or so and
Right.
just do a quick little check-in. So
It's
it's
a terrible
so great.
business model, Betsy. I can't
I
believe
know.
we have a whole business around it because our clients actually get better and don't need us anymore.
Let's t but our brains are always searching for something.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's
Yeah.
talk about, brain health in general
Yeah.
because your whole business model is
Business.
about supporting the brain. So,
Yeah.
tell us about, like, all the different types of modalities that you are supportive of and for the
Yeah.
brain.
So in the end, and while Superbrain Neurofeedback still exists and is my family focused neurofeedback, um, all of my in-person business happens at the Bay Area Brain Spa here in Albany, California. And the Brain Spa started as a community neurofeedback. That was our plan. We were going to offer neurofeedback in bulk so that we could drop the price and make it affordable and more accessible to more people. That was our whole goal. Um, and as we were building the business, starting with 4 neurofeedback chairs, it just became really clear how much more we could offer and that there's so much more that really helps fill what
Yeah.
everybody generally needs. So,
Yeah.
um, now we have, I think it's like 18 different technologies.
Wow.
But they're easily grouped into a hierarchy of 3 things that we focus on. So at the Brain Spa, our number one focus is the central nervous system.
Okay.
Regulating the central nervous system because it really doesn't matter what else you're doing. It doesn't matter how healthy you're eating or how much you're exercising. If your nervous system is dysregulated, you're not going to feel well and you're not going to perform at your best. So a lot of stuff, but neurofeedback is our number one. That is what
Right.
we offer as our fastest way to regulate your nervous system. Lymphatic health is our
Uh-huh.
second tier. because most of us are walking around just a toxic sludge. We
Yeah.
we our lymphatic system needs to be clear and fresh in order for our cells to absorb nutrients. So
And
again,
let's talk about the lymphatic system. So
yeah.
the lymphatic system is in the process of, for example, if a toxicity goes into the body,
Uh-huh.
okay, so our foods, environment, things such as that, they go in and often they're a form of a food or something like
Mhm.
that. So now it has to go through all the different filtering processes through the liver and the kidneys and the
Yep.
digestion.
Yep.
And
And the
then
lymph is a big
and
part
then
of that.
once it's filtered through the liver and the kidneys, is at that point, is that where it's draining into lymphatic?
Well, and the lymph will even capture it before. So
Right.
it's moving. It's a continuous circuit. Um and it's not just toxins, like, our cells naturally are dying all the time,
Right.
or if, maybe there's a bacteria or a virus and your body attacks it and it dies, all of that removal. So it's really our waste system. It's the sewage
Right, yeah.
system of the whole body, including the brain. Your brain is floating in lymphatic system. So we've got lymph through the head, we've got lymph all through our body. It's a massive system, and so many people aren't aware of it. Um, and so my business partner, Angela Martinucci, as a cancer survivor, gets lymphedema where her cancer surgery was. And that's
Uh-huh.
very common. It's very common with lymph node removal of any kind. And, any kind of surgery that can damage the lymph. And then there's scar tissue. There can be impeded lymph flow. You can get lymphedema where your lymph system backs up and swells and you retain a lot of that fluid. Um, During the pandemic, when we opened in 2020, talk about a smart business move to open a business in the middle of 2020. Um, Personal
I know.
services were not available, and so, unfortunately, massage was not available even for those people who really needed it for medical reasons, like lymphedema. Um
I know.
And so we saw a need because we have these clients anyway, right? They're coming to us for brain training. They're coming to us to help regulate their nervous system and be well. And they're having all these other issues. And so we added on the lymphatic massage suits. And now that's our most popular stack. People come and do their neurofeedback in the lymphatic massage suit, and it's like a dream.
I had it done. It's
Yeah,
it's it's
it's
epic.
it's fabulous.
I'll tell you about my experience with it after, but yeah,
Okay.
it was great. But
So the lymph system is like our second layer of focus because again, you're not gonna feel well if your lymph is dirty and stagnant and not moving. Um, and then third in line is your cellular voltage. Something else that you might not just walk around thinking about every day is like, how's my voltage today? But our cells all have little batteries in them, and the flat batteries weaken. You don't forget to plug your cell phone in at night, but what about you and your cells? And we get voltage from light, and we get voltage from earth frequencies, from weather patterns, and all of that means you're outdoors. And unfortunately, the vast majority of us who aren't following Joey around on a bicycle or hiking 80% of their time,
fair.
the vast majority of us work indoors and live indoors. We're in artificial light and we're not grounded on the earth.
Yeah, I know.
So our cellular charge is really weak. And
Yeah.
so through red light therapy, through pulsed electromagnetic frequency devices, we help cellular charge. Um, and it's really important in feeling well. It's really important, again, going back to what John said, giving the body what it needs. Your
Just
body
needs those
needs
tools.
enough power to run all of its systems effectively. And so by charging it up, you could take a week off and go sleep on the earth and be outdoors, or you could, come in and sit by the biocharger and lay under the red light station and
Well, and especially in San Francisco Bay Area with like I remember in the apartment we lived in San Francisco, like you open up your computer and there was like 25 Wi-Fi potentials.
Yes, it's
So
everywhere.
you just can imagine the amount of EMFs that were just
All
penetrating
over.
all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah.
So and then just the Bay Area in general, because everything is tech and everything is like
It's all tech, and
yeah.
it's very foggy here much of the time, so
Oh, you're
not
right. So
getting
that
that feed,
right.
even if you are outside, it's often overcast.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
that's that's a good point.
So when
Yeah.
you talk about brain health too, have you looked much into transcranial photobiomodulation?
I can't say that that has ever been on my
So
agenda to look for that.
that's the fancy way of saying red light for the brain.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, newer and even newer additions at the brain spa are these red light brain devices. And research is really promising. V-Light has been doing a lot of research for years now. They have really good studies on just showing how increasing voltage at the brain directly, so using
Right.
red light,
Right.
penetrating. V-Light has a patent on their coolest thing. I'm going to show you. The coolest thing they have that anybody can have at home um, is their intranasal red light. They call it the MIP.
Okay.
And it's actually these diodes that you put in your nose.
Oh, okay.
One is infrared, one is pure red. Um, because they're going through your nasal cavity, they don't have to go through any bone. They are directly
Wow.
going to the base of your frontal lobe, and you're getting
Wow.
all those benefits of increased cellular voltage, moving out inflammation, stimulating blood flow,
Right.
stimulating activity, all of that right into the brain. So V-Light has a patent on this, and a lot of their
Huh.
research, you can't really separate the brain treatment that comes from the headpiece and the intranasal, because their studies are doing both, right? We have a newer device called the Neuronic helmet, and it looks just like a bicycle helmet, really. You put it on and it's full of gobs and gobs. I don't have the number on the top of my head, but ton of light diodes that are emitting 1070 nanometers. So really high
Wait,
frequency.
so there's a bicycle helmet that Joey could wear that would
No, it's
help him?
not rated for bike safety. It
No,
just
no,
looks
I
just
just
like it.
meant
Oh,
I
'cause
mean,
he
do you
likes
know
helmets.
Joe he
He
wears
loves
a helmet
helmets.
all the
Yeah.
time. Is there
So
there's actually a helmet that would be a benefit? Like,
oh, yeah.
tell
Hugely.
where do
So
I
look
sign
at that.
up for this?
Yeah. Oh, Betsy, I have one that, I can give you a deal on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Neuronic helmet, and what's interesting, I wasn't looking for another red light device for the brain spa because we had the V-Light. We invested. We have
Right.
one in
Right.
house, and we have one we rent for people to take home. Because V-Light's protocol is 6 days a week for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And that's where people are seeing like a great amount of improvement with their brain health, with brain function, like healing a traumatic brain injury, all those great things. So
Right.
6 days a week for 6 weeks. We rent it out, take it home, do it. It's great. Neuronic reached out to us because they're seeing really good results doing the transcranial photobiomodulation, or red light for the brain, before neurofeedback. So they called us as a neurofeedback clinic. The whole idea is, you're going to go run a marathon. What do? You carb load, right? Like you give your body all the fuel it needs for this sustained activity. Same for neurofeedback. You're about to go and do a heavy training session of the brain. Give it energy before the session so it can perform better during the session. Made so much sense to me, right? Like maybe I'm a gullible sales to their sales, but it just sounded brilliant. I was like, that makes so much sense. Do the red light right before neurofeedback so the voltage is increased in the brain, and when it's doing the neurofeedback, it has more energy for its training.
Okay.
So we added the helmet, and we let our members do the red light. It's a 10-minute treatment right before they go into their neurofeedback. So exciting and so easy. And Joey would love it. It has a little
He would love
tightener so
it.
you can get it nice and snug with the little headpiece. It's all 1070, so it's infrared. You don't see it. His
Right.
head's not going to glow red. Um,
Right.
And it's great. It's a 10-minute treatment.
Okay, we're gonna talk after this. I'm very interested in
It's
that.
really cool. Yeah.
Okay, so this is incredible. So many great things that we could do. Can we talk a little bit about foods that can help the brain also? Just because it's my
Yeah.
wheelhouse?
Absolutely, and I was gonna say, like, you probably know better than I do, but yeah.
First off, I want to thank you. So, for a lot of my listeners don't know that for a while I made something called the Joey Bar, which was a
We think about the Joey bar all the time. You know that yesterday, my business partner, Angela, she's like, "Oh, tell Betsy I still miss that Joey bar." I just saw a picture of it. You
if
know,
it
our
weren't.
website still gets hits for the Joey bar on the
I'm
analytics.
so sorry. Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was just I didn't make a single dollar from doing it, and it was so much work.
So much.
But anyway, the Joey Bar was a brain food because so what happened is I was in San Francisco and was riding my bike and got my tires stuck in a trolley groove and landed right on my head. I had a helmet on, but I think it kind of it wasn't on really tight and it kind of
Yeah.
shifted. And after I was having all kinds of headaches and brain issues, and my practitioner at the time put me on lion's mane mushrooms. And what she explained to me is that with a lot of the research, it's been shown to help regenerate brain cells. And I swear to you that lion's mane made the most incredible difference in my brain. I
That
still
was
to
the
this
crest
day.
of the Joey bar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was inside,
it
like,
was
all
in the
different parts
crest.
of it. I put
Yeah,
tons of lion's mane and
yeah,
cordyceps for the
yeah.
immune, support as well. So, but lion's mane is a really, really good one. Mushrooms in general are good brain food, but definitely lion's mane. And then, of course, you have, like, they've always said fish is great brain food, but
Mhm.
the really, really good high omega
I remember.
fishes and
Mhm.
the good fatty fishes
Yeah.
and things such
Mhm.
as that,
Mhm.
so incredibly good for
Yeah,
the brain.
yeah.
And I can't say that I'm an expert on a lot of things other than what not to give for the brain is I'm better, probably more versed on the amount of things that you don't want to give the brain, anything
Right.
artificial, and
Right.
you definitely don't want to do any inflammatories.
Mhm.
And because
Because
I
I
know
know
that
that
brain
brain
fog,
fog.
like if I have any sort of a sugar or like champagne or something that's fermented in like the alcohol end, I immediately feel brain fog.
You feel it in
Like
your brain. Yeah,
so fast.
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. The
Mhm.
blessing is I am my body is so trained that if I have something that's not good for it, my body's like, "No, thank you."
Mhm. Yep.
But it's also kind of a curse because, like, come on, I want a glass of champagne occasionally.
Right.
And my daughter works for a phenomenal winery, which
Mhm.
is super
Yeah,
sad.
yeah.
But I feel it, and it usually the first place that I feel it, if I have something with sugar or, even dairy to a certain extent, will
Mhm.
give me immediate brain fog. So, I'm guessing you hear a lot about brain fog with
Oh,
your
yeah.
clients.
Oh, yeah. Hugely. And diet is a huge component of it. We help people by flushing their lymphatic system because getting all of that out, moving the inflammation out, moving that toxin out.
Right.
Um, and something that might not classically be considered a toxin en masse could be interpreted toxic to a specific person who might have a sensitivity or inability to digest it. So, like gluten for some people,
Exactly,
like
and
sugar,
dairy
and
is for
dairy,
me.
and other
Yeah.
people don't have that issue.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like helping people move that out of their system by keeping the lymph really healthy and moving, your immune system is working better, and therefore you're getting that out, and you're maybe not having as strong of a reaction to.
Right for
And
that.
when we talk about having a reaction and like that champagne, when you feel that, that's a histamine reaction you're
No,
having.
just yeah,
And
let's talk about that. Keep going.
histamine's made in the gut, and people who have a huge histamine reaction, and so maybe they're allergic to everything.
I have a lot of histamine issues. We can
You
talk
gotta
about
work
that
on the gut,
forever.
and let's talk about stress.
Yeah.
The stress triggers histamine.
We're gonna talk about stress in a little bit because I wanna talk about that's like a big piece of what I wanna talk about, but let's keep talking about that histamine because the histamine is a byproduct of stress, and it's also a bad gut that has, like,
Yeah,
viruses and
yeah,
or
yeah.
bacterias or things such as
Leaky
that.
leaky gut.
And as I get older, the histamine piece is getting bigger for me, mostly
Mhm.
because, let's face it, my adrenals have been through a lot.
Yeah.
I've bared witness to enough meltdowns that have slowly crumbled away my adrenal glands. But I'm really glad you're bringing up the histamine piece because I am getting super, super sensitive. And here's the other part of it though, Carleigh. Sometimes I ask myself, am I getting more sensitive or is my body getting so clean
Mm,
that it recognizes
yeah,
infractions faster? Because I think a lot of people have histamine issues, but they also have so many other issues
yeah, they
that
don't
they
know.
don't necessarily recognize that that's the
Yeah,
reason behind it. And they
yeah,
just have like chronic feeling bad or
yeah.
their joints hurt or all kinds of other things. And so I just feel like the cleaner that I get my diet, it seems like the bigger the issues, but they're not really. It's just the fact that they're saying that I can attend to those issues now because I don't have
All the other
all
stuff.
the other stuff going on.
Exactly.
So
And
I
that
don't
makes
curse
perfect
it.
sense. Like, I honestly don't know the science of that, but it resonates perfectly with
Yeah,
me,
it does. Okay.
you know?
So one of the things when we first talked, I brought up a topic that you were just like, yes, let's talk about that.
Co-regulation.
so so
Welcome in a happy place.
it's so funny because,
Yeah.
Sarah Intonato is another content creator. She's incredible. She leads parent groups, and
Okay.
she's so big. She's on the East Coast,
Okay.
and she's so big about co-regulation. And,
Yeah.
you know, look, when you're parenting somebody like Joey and people
Mhm.
are like, you need to relax more. You need to calm yourself more. You really want to slap them,
You do.
when you're younger because you're already feeling so bad that you can't be enough to your child.
Yeah.
Like I can't be more to myself either. So I realize that it's a soft spot for a lot of people when it's like, I don't have time to take care of myself.
No, no,
I've
no.
got all my resources are going towards my child. Can't
Yep.
do it for myself.
Yep.
And so I used to come to my sessions with you, with Joey, and you so lovingly would like, without hesitation, is like, sit down in the other chair and you would hook me up
Yeah.
and you would give me that opportunity to, while he was in that beautiful state, to also be in that beautiful state with him.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you for that from now, but also just how incredibly important that was
So
because
important.
so
Because we
yeah, let's talk about it.
I mean, co-regulation is happening all the time. It's it's happening even when we don't want it to. We're influenced by the energetic vibrations of those around us. And that's, so clear when you magnetically gravitate towards people who have a high vibe, who are
Yeah.
vibing positively. You can't help it,
Yeah.
right? And in the same then you might feel this like negative push from someone who's just got this negative vibe. You might not know anything about them, but you feel it, right? It is there and it's palpable and your system recognizes it. And
Mm.
so co-regulation especially happens in a unit. So that can be a family unit, that could be a like a co-working team, a military unit, any group of people that you are surrounded by for an extended amount of time. Um, in a family, the entire household usually all regulates to one person's vibe, for better or for worse. That whoever's got that strongest vibe of the family unit, everyone else is mirroring and modeling towards.
Wow.
If you can train that one, you can affect everybody else. And this is why we welcome school teachers any day of the week to come in for $40 neurofeedback sessions. Because if I can get those school teachers calm and regulated and build their stress resilience, every single student that spends their day with them is going to benefit, right? It's that amazing trickle down effect. And in a household, when you've got the parent who's holding the entire unit together,
Mhm,
just that one nervous system can affect everyone else.
mhm.
There's studies done on training in a unit, and they took a unit, and I'm 90% sure. Again, I went to school 20 years ago for this, and this was a study that we talked about in it. So forgive me if I'm not 100% accurate, but I think there were military units who served together. So these soldiers knew each other well. They also had shared experience, maybe shared trauma. So they were in treatment, and one of the groups, uh, all of these people, these soldiers served together, but they did their training individually. This other group of people who all served together trained together as a group at the same time. So in the same 6-week window, basically. And the outcomes were significantly different, that the group that trained together healed faster in their subjective reporting, that things were better faster, stronger results, clearer results than those that were training individually. And this study was when we were looking at co-regulation and how it works. Of if everyone is regulating their nervous system at the same time, the group itself has its own energy that is more regulated together.
Mm,
So,
mhm.
and you might recognize that when you have a parent
Well,
in
yeah.
in a dysregulated household, if everyone's doing these same things, whatever it is, whatever you're doing together, the whole unit is better. And it's usually obvious if somebody in that household isn't participating
Yep.
because now they're the outlier, right?
Which is
Every,
why I
everyone
got
else
a
is doing
divorce my
great.
first marriage. It's like, you're not somebody I wanna co-regulate with anymore. I mean, it's true. It's like you have to walk away from toxicity as well
You do.
too.
Yeah. I think every caregiver, every caregiver should be training their nervous system
Oh,
to build
I'm
stress
getting it more and
resilience.
more. Honestly, Carly,
Every
like, so
caregiver.
yeah, I
And
mean,
because you will only be a better caregiver. You think of it as, no, I can't take my time and resource away from the person I'm caring for. You are actually able to give better care. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot take care of them if you're falling apart. Taking care of yourself is benefiting
yeah.
whoever it is you're caring for.
Now that I'm getting older, I am realizing that co-regulation is so much more important than I ever gave it power before. And
Mhm.
you were one of the first people to point that out at me. Like you need to calm yourself in order to help him in the best capacity that you can. But I'm also realizing that I have spent so much money and so much time on bling without the simplicity of realizing that even the simplicity of the letterboard, the simplicity of taking a hike with Joey are some of the most beneficial things I can do to regulate myself
Yeah.
so that I can model a better behavior for Joey. One thing that lives in my house that anybody who visits notices right away is the calmness of my house. Like where I live is so central to my calmness, and that means not a bunch of television sounds going on, not soft music, nothing hard, nothing, soft lighting, and keeping that space is so incredibly sacred to me. Trying to have a place of communication and not argumentative, like creating good space is so
Critical.
important.
It's critical. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just feel
Just
like they can't. And it doesn't mean that you have to be like a neat freak and that you have to have, your floors vacuumed all the time. I mean, obviously that can be helpful to a
Mhm.
lot of people's nervous systems, but also it's really just about the energy you're putting into it. And that's why, I mean, Ron knows. Ron's a big movie goer, and he puts headphones on. If he's going to watch a movie, he puts on his headphones,
Mhm.
because I don't want to listen to the drama. I
Yeah.
don't want to listen to the banging violence.
Yeah.
I want to keep my house really, really sacred.
That's a testament back to your clean system and what you said earlier, that the cleaner and more pure your
Mm.
system is, the more sensitive it is to that toxic interference. And that could be noise. It could be visual stimulation. It's all an overload. And the more we get used to, we always are seeking a homeostasis, and our homeostasis moves.
Yeah.
And so your homeostasis has become this tranquil, calm, quiet. And now you're even more sensitive when there's any input that doesn't match that.
I didn't even
Makes
think
perfect
about that,
sense.
but you're
Yeah.
100% right.
Like your gut. It's not different.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's not different.
that's so
And at the
interesting.
same time, let's give credit that the more regulated your nervous system is, the more stress resilient you are, which means if that noise or that whatever comes into your environment, even though you don't really want it there and it might make you feel a little off put, it's not going to ruin your day.
Right.
It's not going to ruin your mood.
Because but my
You'll recover
resiliency is
quicker.
so
Your
much better.
resiliency is
Yeah.
better. And this
Yeah.
is why it's critical, because your home is one place, although you have other people there that you don't have complete control over. But when we go out in the world, we need to keep our stress resilience with us. And you can't take that bubble of calm and quiet everywhere you go. You have to be resilient
Yeah.
when you're someplace and it is loud and cluttered. You're still okay.
It's also part of why I love neurofeedback and with with your method that you work with,
Yeah.
because it is not a bunch of flashy
Mm-mm.
anything. It's
No.
literally listening to music
Listening to
for
calm, peaceful music, and there is a visual
I
component if
love
you
it.
want it.
I know I do like the visual
I
component, I have
it's
to say.
lovely, but I sometimes find it activating. I feel like, our brains are, like, taking up, I don't know, a third of our brain activity or something, and when you close your eyes, there is so much more calm. One way I know that, when you're looking at the nautimal system during a session, that, like, rainbow thingy that's
Yeah.
going back and forth? That's
Yeah.
the live view of your EEG activity. Amazing, the difference with eyes open and eyes closed. Which you wouldn't
Oh.
know because you can't see it when you close your eyes, right?
Yeah.
The difference when someone's looking at the screen and having visual input and when their eyes are closed, what a change in the brain activity. And
Yeah.
so maybe because years of me looking at that, like, I don't do the screen, and I know when I need to calm down and turn off, there's no visual input.
Right.
It is not calm to sit and scroll on Instagram. That is not calming.
Yeah.
Calming is sitting and staring at the vast ocean or the green forest
Yeah.
or closing your eyes and turning off input for sure.
I feel that we are entering a time that this is going to be more appreciated than ever before, because
Mhm.
everybody has kind of reached a pinnacle of overload of stimulation.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing, the trend happening now, is people are turning off their
Turn
phones
off.
more, and they are.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this is part of the reason I wanted to do the podcast,
Mm.
because I feel podcast, for one thing, we don't talk about negativity on this. We
Mhm.
keep things very high vibe. And I, I just feel like a podcast is something where you can be taking a walk in the
Mhm.
forest
Yeah.
and still be listening to a
Yes.
podcast, rather than having to be scrolling, because the scrolling piece,
It's too much.
honestly,
Yeah.
like, it's a lot.
Mhm.
It's a lot to have to regulate through all of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's also part of how I make my life. Like,
Right.
I've kind of
I
set
know.
myself up for
It's
being
so tough.
scrolled.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the other hand,
Yeah.
I also have a very tight algorithm, because personally, I am very careful about what I follow online.
Mhm.
If it's not high vibe,
Bad.
I not interested
Out of here.
or I
Mhm.
unfollow or whatever
Yeah.
because I'm too protective.
Yeah.
Because now it's like it's one thing to do it for myself, which I
Mhm.
should do because I should love myself and do it for myself,
Mhm.
but knowing how much it affects Joey
Mm.
gives me a
Mhm.
whole new layer
Right.
of,
Yeah.
of inspiration to be able to keep that going.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
I have 2 teenagers, and watching the behavior and the addictive behavior of it, it's real, and one of my favorite secret weapons is dopamine fasting, which essentially is removing us
Yeah.
from our environment and
It's
going to nature and being
yeah.
there unplugged, no devices, and ideally a very clean diet for a few days. And
Yeah.
it's the best reset.
I know
And
it's fun to see how that's becoming more and
uh,
more of a thing.
it's the
I
best.
know, it's
It's
great.
the best.
Oh,
It's the
Carly, this
best.
was so fun. It was so good to speak with you and to
You
connect
too.
again.
I
And
encourage your audience, if they have questions about neurofeedback or if they're
okay,
curious.
good.
We
So
we rent systems, we ship them all over the United
I love
States.
that.
Um,
Your website is?
Bay Area Brain Spa.com.
I love it. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk to you about that
the
Helmindy.
helmet. Oh, Joey would love it.
I'm very excited.
Joey would
I could
love
be a
it.
Joey could be your spokesmodel.
Joey could be my spokesmodel. It'd be great.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, my friend. Good talking with you. Everybody,
wonderful to
thanks for
see you.
joining us. And we'll be back with you next week. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.